What's going on YouTube, and welcome to the second entry in our Halloween themed runs, Gourgeist. Gourgeist is a bit of a gimmick Pokemon because its stats depend on its size, ranging from small size to super size. For this playthrough, I went with the average size. I felt like it gave me the best overall balance, and seeing how speed was somewhat of a problem for Trevenant, having 84 base speed should help us out. 90 base attack and 122 base defense is great as well, but unfortunately the 58 base special attack kind of sucks, especially when you look at Gourgeist's TMs and learn set. With moves like Hyper Beam, Solar Beam, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, and Focus Blast just to name a few, there's a lot of special moves on this learn set, and not a lot of physical moves that we can really use to take advantage of our higher physical attack stat, although a move like Rock Slide will help out when we get to the league. Unfortunately, Gourgeist's only starting attacking move is Astonish, which I think is trash, and I have a hatred for this move after this run, and we're going to see right after the rival battle here. You see, the first mandatory trainer, youngster Austin, has a Zigzagoon. The only way I can deal damage to this thing is by using Confuse Ray and hoping that I get good confusion luck and that it hits itself so that the battle doesn't last forever, or drain all of my PP and knock it out with Struggle. This battle took me a minute and a half to complete, and considering I play on an increased game speed, yeah, that's really going to add to the in-game timer. Normally in Santaloon Forest, I would pick up all the optional battles, but I'm actually going to skip the very first one because that trainer has a normal type Pokemon on his team, and I don't want to go through that again like I just did with the Zigzagoon. And my Zigzagoon troubles are not over either because the trainer that guards Viola's gym has a Zigzagoon, so that's going to be fun. Once I exit the forest, I decide to do some training south of Santaloon City, and this first trainer I face has a Bidoof. This battle goes a bit quicker than the Zigzagoon battle though, lasting only a minute, and after battling the additional trainers south of Santaloon City, I head back into the forest to battle against wild Pokemon. I know I mentioned in my Trevenant run the trainers east of Santaloon City, but I didn't know about them just yet. I did start this run while I was walled at Lysandre, so if I were to ever revisit this, I would definitely train there as opposed to wild Pokemon in the forest. Once I hit level 9, I decide to challenge roller skater Rinka and her level 7 Zigzagoon, and thankfully this battle only lasts about a minute. I take on all of Viola's trainers before I decide to challenge her. Earlier in the video, I talked about how I hate the move Astonish, but it actually has some use here. Since we outspeed the Surskit, we actually do flinch it once. I do get Viola to waste her 1 potion on it, and 3 Astonish is enough to knock this thing out as it only damages us with Bubble. However, the true threat is Vivillon, which is a weird thing to say, because it does outspeed us. I've kept Scary Face on my moveset for this reason. Vivillon starts with Infestation as I confuse it with Confuse Ray. And now I need Jesus to take the wheel because I need Confusion luck and Flinch luck against this thing. I don't get any Confusion or Flinching luck, and you'll see that I went for Trick or Treat on this thing. Had I gotten any of that, or even a critical hit, we would have had a first try victory. Unfortunately, because of the previously mentioned and the chip damage from Infestation, Gourgeist takes a reset here. I did try again, and while it was another close battle, Gourgeist just couldn't pull it off. So I'm going to go back into Santaloon Forest and battle against one of the trainers I skipped prior, and then grind on wild Pokemon until level 11. And while watching all of this footage back, man, I wish I knew about those trainers on Route 22. It would have really sped this process up and given Gourgeist a better overall result. That of course will come at the end of the video, but you'd think that this thing would be pretty good since Champion Diantha uses one on her team. After a grinding session, I jump back into the battle against Viola. I open the battle by going for Trick or Treat and then Scary Face before going for Astonish. After a while, I will go for Confuse Ray because I need extra chip damage on this. While I didn't get Viola to use her potion on Surskit like I did in the first battle, I get better confusion luck and better damage rolls with Astonish. Can't wait to get rid of this move. And Gourgeist is able to get the victory on its 3rd attempt. 5 minutes into the video. I thought having the slightly better speed stat and overall balance stats would give this Pokemon the advantage, but we'll just have to see if that holds true later on in the video. With how the early game went, you'd think on Route 4 I'd want to battle all of the optional trainers here, and with most runs, I normally do because Grant is the second gym leader. However, I want to make my way to Professor Sycamore's assistance as quickly as I can because they give the TM for return, which is going to provide an upgrade on our current moveset. Jumping ahead to Route 5, I'm going to do more training, and during this training, I level up enough to learn Razor Leaf. While it is only base 55 power, it does give me a stab option, and it's a physical attack in this game. I'm going to be skipping past Camphirier Town and jumping right to Parfrum Palace and taking care of errands here. I'm going to be doing the usuals, but I'm also going to be picking up some battles on Route 6 on my way back towards Camphirier Town. As for why I'm picking up optional battles, well, I'd like to have Bullet Seed before we take on Grant, as I think it'll be better than Razor Leaf. Jumping ahead to Amberette Town, I pick up the Heart Scale just in case I need to reteach a move like Phantom Force later on in the playthrough. I take care of the usuals before heading to Glittering Cave. Unfortunately, Gourgeist can't learn the Shadow Claw TM, so I skip it. I don't need Shadow Claw to take care of Team Flare at the end of the cave, and I take the Jaw Fossil. After some additional training on the beach, I make my way to Solage City and make my way to Grant's gym. Before battling him, I took on 2 optional trainers in order to reach level 23 and reach the next damage rounding threshold. Razor Leaf is a 2-shot on Amora, but thanks to the Cherry Berry we got in Camphirier Town, we make it through it without losing a single hit point. And I'm going to need all of them for Tyrunt. It goes for Rock Tomb, and after one more, it will outspeed me. Razor Leaf is just dealing neutral damage, and this is why I wanted Bullet Seed on my moveset for this battle. And having a multi-hit move could have possibly bypassed the Hyper Potion use, but unfortunately Grant does pop it, and Gourgeist just doesn't have enough health to outlast, and I lose this one. I tried again and the second battle went worse than the first, so I decide to battle all of the trainers in Grant's gym and battle the trainers on Route 10 for additional levels. During this training, I hit level 26 and learn Bullet Seed. And before battling Grant, I'm going to pop my 2 rare candies to bring myself to level 28 and to another damage rounding threshold. And this third battle starts out great, with Razor Leaf one-shotting Amora. And against Tyrunt, I don't even use our new toy in Bullet Seed. I just go for Razor Leaf. Although my first one does miss, my second gets a critical hit doing more than half, and my third is enough to finish it. I'm going to jump ahead to Reflection Cave, and while it would be nice if Gourgeist learned a move like Aerial Ace for Karina, none of her Pokemon can do anything to us. However, we do have that rival battle against Callum, and both Brazen and Absol could pose problems. I do reach level 30 while battling in Reflection Cave and teach Shadow Sneak over Astonish. Not only does it have 10 more base power and 15 more PP, but it has priority. And instead of talking about the what ifs or what could go wrong in this rival battle, let's just jump right into it. Callum leads with Meowstic, and Shadow Sneak is a 2-hit KO on it, which by the way, I think eventually I'm going to do a male Meowstic versus female Meowstic versus video. Let me know in the comments what you think of that. They have different level up movesets, so it could be interesting. I've taught Return for Absol and Brazen. It does over half to Absol, as its bite does over half to me. My next knocks it out, and I just don't want to see a fire move from Brazen. Return does over half, and I get Psybeam. I'll take the first try victory over what could have been a difficult rival battle, but Karina is not difficult at all. The only one of her Pokemon that can hurt me is her Machoke with Rock Tomb, but it has terrible defenses. In the last video, I was under the impression that Flying Press could hit us, but it actually can't, because it's classified as a fighting move, and as you know, fighting moves can't hit ghost types. Shout out to Master Sword Objection for letting me know that. That will make Hawlucha's run very interesting when we run that. One thing I was unaware of until this run is that if you pick up the free Lapras here on Route 12 and you surf with it, it actually shows it on the overworld. That's actually a really nice feature. I might pick this thing up in future playthroughs instead of using PK Hex to change whatever the professor gives you to a Squirtle. which for anybody curious in this run, I took a Chimchar. But let's jump ahead to outside of the Comarine City gym where we have another rival battle against Callum. Nothing's really changed with our moveset, and nothing's changed with Callum's party either. Shadow Sneak is still a 2-shot on Meowstic, but it can't do much to us. In fact, it does nothing in this battle other than setting up Light Screen, which I have no special moves. I go for Return on Absol, as Bite does about a quarter. My next return knocks it out, and all that's left is Brazen. Once again, I don't want to see any fire moves. Return does over half, as it goes for Psybeam, and my next return can knock it out. Hopefully this thing continues to not give me problems even after it evolves into a Delphox. And speaking of gym leaders that don't give me problems, Ramos continues that theme. Although Jumpluff does have stab acrobatics, Gourgeist has much better defenses than Trevenant to deal with that. Return is my best attacking option as it's a 2-shot on all of his Pokemon, with the exception of Go-Goat, which it's a 3-shot against. Up next is the Kalos Power Plant, which in this section there's really nothing to talk about. Gourgeist has no problem with Team Flare's Dark or Poison type Pokemon, and after I finish this section of the game, I can pick up the TM for Flame Charge. And Flame Charge can prove to be plenty useful against Clement and his Magneton, and I actually remember to teach it before this gym battle. The Pokemon that would probably give Gourgeist the most trouble though is Clement's first Pokemon, his Emolga. This thing is extremely annoying, especially on Elisa's team in Black and White, which by the way, I did look up how to pronounce her name before I said it in this part of the voiceover. Unfortunately, Emolga's static ability kicks in and leaves me paralyzed, but this is where Flame Charge can come in handy. Especially since Magneton is coming out next, it'll give me super effective damage and boost my speed at the end of each turn. Although I still have to deal with Parahax luck, eventually I will move first against both the Magneton and the Heliolisk, and this battle is probably the best Parahax luck I've ever had. There was only one time I didn't attack due to paralysis, and that was against the Emolga. The Magneton goes down quickly, and against Heliolisk, I go for Bullet Seed, getting a lucky crit for the last hit, and then go for Return to finish it off. After a rough early game, Gourgeist's mid-game is turning out alright so far, but can it build enough momentum to dig itself out of that hole it got itself in the early game? Well, we still have two major obstacles in the Lysandre battles and Wulfric. Before we can focus on the Lysandre battles though, we still have two more gym battles and two rival battles, one of which happens on Route 14 once we exit Lumiose City. I still have Shadow Sneak on my moveset for both the Meowstic and the Delphox. It will 2-shot each of them. Although Delphox now has Mystical Fire as a move, which could probably deal some decent damage. Like the prior battles though, it just goes for Psybeam as opposed to the super effective fire move, and we knock it out. But last is Absol, which now has Swords Dance to pair with Bite. Since we do outspeed, I would have preferred to see Swords Dance turn 1, but thankfully its Bite doesn't crit me and we're able to knock it out over 2 turns. Like I did with Trevenant on Route 14, I'm going to be picking up some optional battles along with the TM for Will-O-Wisp. And once I arrive in Laver City, I immediately make my way to Valerie's gym. I still have Flame Charge on my moveset for her lead Pokemon Mawile, that way I have something that deals super effective damage. It's able to 2-shot it as Mawile's Crunch deals pathetic damage in return. Her next Pokemon is Mr. Mime, and I go for Return, hoping for the 1-shot, which I don't get, and it sets up Reflect. Exactly what I didn't want to see. Although I am able to knock it out the next turn with Shadow Sneak. Last is Sylveon. I go for Bullet Seed, hoping for a lucky 5-hit, but I just get a 2-hit as it goes for Charm. After another 2-hit Bullet Seed, I try my luck with Return, which isn't doing much damage, and I might as well just keep trying with Bullet Seed, hoping for the luck. Things start to look grim as I get down to just 3 HP, but I get lucky with my next Bullet Seed, as both the first 2 hits crit, knocking out Sylveon. In the Pokeball Factory, I'm going to pick up optional battles with the hopes that I can level up to 48 by the time I face Celosia and Byrony at the end, because at level 48, Gourgeist will learn Seed Bomb, a 80 base power physical grass move that's going to come in handy down the stretch. And I actually hit level 48 one battle before them, against the Team Flare admin. While Bullet Seed has served me well, it's time for an upgrade. The battle against them goes smoothly with Callum's assistance, and we can make our way through Route 15 as we head towards Dendemille Town. And while I was going for the nighttime aesthetic look in both of these runs, I forgot to set the emulator clock at this point in the run. So yeah, we have a daytime Route 15 as I'm training. Of course, after training on Route 15, I make my way to Frost Cavern, where I take on more optional battles and then deal with Team Flare at the end of the cave. I can then make my way to Anastar City, and the first thing I'm going to do is go in the Pokemon Center and get the TM for Substitute, and then I change the game clock to get the TM for Flamethrower. I can then make my way towards the gym, but first I have another rival battle against Callum. Like the last few battles, Shadow Sneak is a 2-shot on Meowstic, but it now has a decent move in Psychic, although it doesn't do too much damage to me. He sends out Delphox next, and like Meowstic, this now has Psychic, but it also now has Flamethrower. And according to Bulbapedia, these are its only 2 moves. Thankfully, it chooses Psychic, which brings me to half health, but I'm able to knock it out the next turn. But now we come to Absol, which now has the attack Night Slash, which it goes for, critting me and knocking me out. I try again, but first add the move Will-O-Wisp to my moveset. That way I can cut the Absol's attack stat and deal chip damage. While Absol decides to go for Swords Dance in this second battle, that little bit of chip damage helps me knock it out with Seed Bomb on the following turn. Last is Jolteon, and this thing has a terrible moveset to try and deal with me, with Discharge, Quick Attack, and Double Kick. Discharge deals pathetic damage, as it's 2 Seed Bombs to take it out. That Absol could be a problem once we have to face Callum again in Victory Road. And it makes me wonder how much Lysandre's Pokemon are going to give Gourgeist problems, the second of which are looming after this gym battle. And this gym battle is the beginning of the end for Shadow Sneak on our moveset. While Trevenant had X-Scissor, Phantom Force, and Hornleech as all viable options, Gourgeist's moves are a bit lacking. While Shadow Sneak does do over half, Sigilif is able to set up Reflect and then retaliate with Air Slash. Olympia then heals it with a Hyper Potion as I go for Will-O-Wisp, but I've already taken too much damage and I lose this battle. There aren't any additional trainers I can battle within Olympia's gym, and I really don't want to backtrack, so what I'm going to do is use my 3 rare candies to bring myself to level 57 and learn Phantom Force. And it's going to make an impact on this next battle. I go for Will-O-Wisp and miss as Sigilif sets up Reflect again. My second hits as it sets up Light Screen, and now I'm going to start going for Phantom Force. And if it weren't for Reflect, Phantom Force would have definitely one-shot it. Air Slash does over half to me, and I start going for Return, because Reflect is going to wear off soon, and Olympia uses a Hyper Potion. As the Reflect wears off, I do bait out another Hyper Potion from going for Return. And now it's time for Phantom Force to do its thing, one-shotting Sigilif. That thing was extremely annoying to deal with, but now that it's gone, I can promptly take care of the rest of Olympia's team. Phantom Force will one-shot Meowstic, and Seed Bomb will take care of Slowking. But now it's time for the part of the run that I've been dreading, because I don't want Gourgeist getting walled here like Trevenant did. And it's what all my extra training has been for, the battles against Lysandre. I previously received a comment on my Trevenant video saying that if you had a full party, you don't have to use the box art legendary in the battle against him. Unfortunately, I had to re-upload that video due to catching a lot of editing mistakes afterwards, but whoever left that comment, thank you. I wish I had screenshotted it so I could shout you out properly. And I think this first battle against Lysandre shows how luck is going to have to play a factor. We don't have to worry about Mienfoo just yet, it'll be a problem when it's a Mienshao. But Pyroar, I get lucky with it missing Fire Blast. Unfortunately, the only attack that would deal super effective damage that Gourgeist can learn, Rock Slide, isn't available until we get the 8th gym badge. Rock Slide would also help out against Murkrow, who will later become a Honchkrow, who will be able to hit hard with Air Slash and has the ability Super Luck in the 3rd battle. Rock Slide would also help out against Gyarados, giving us super effective damage, but he's actually Lysandre's least threatening Pokemon. While Intimidate is annoying, I can just go for Will-O-Wisp on it to deal chip damage and lower its attack as well. But in this second battle, we're going to see how luck is going to have to play a huge factor. Mienshao with its 125 base attack stat now has Sword Stance and Acrobatics, which it hits hard with, dealing over half of my HP. I was hoping that Seed Bomb just rolled a bad damage range, but I have a plan for the next battle. Luck is truly needed against Pyroar though. I go for Return as it's my best option, it does less than half, and Fire Blast KOs me. After another loss, I thought of an idea. I'll go for Will-O-Wisp to weaken Mienshao's attack. You see how little Acrobatics does after that. I then go for Phantom Force just to get a little extra leftovers recovery and a little more chip damage on Mienshao. Pyroar comes out next, and once again Return is my best option on it. I get a better damage roll as I do more than half this time. It misses Fire Blast, and my next return is able to KO it. Against Honchkrow, I want to go for Will-O-Wisp to weaken its attacks. Unfortunately, my first one misses as Night Slash does about a quarter of my HP. But the second one hits and you can see the night and day difference in damage that Honchkrow is dealing. Unless it gets a critical hit like the third one. Fortunately, I can take it out with one final return. And last is Gyarados. Like with the prior Pokemon, I'm going to go for Will-O-Wisp on it to weaken its attack and deal chip damage. I go for Phantom Force once because I want an extra leftovers recovery turn, and I don't want Gyarados getting a lucky critical hit and knocking me out. Lysandre 2 wasn't too terrible, but now we need to talk about Lysandre 3. This first battle is a loss, and I could show you loss after loss after loss, but I'm just going to talk about all the loss conditions. His first Pokemon, Mienshao, if you don't burn it with Will-O-Wisp, Acrobatics will deal too much damage to you, and if it crits, you're done for. Alright, now on to Pyroar. Minimalizing the damage from Mienshao is key because this thing's Fire Blast can almost one-shot you. Ideally, you want a Fire Blast miss because you want as much HP as possible going into the Honchkrow. Alright, now for his annoying bird. If you manage to hit it with Will-O-Wisp, you can weaken its attacks. Unfortunately for me, I never was able to hit it with it. Pair its ability Super Luck with a move like Night Slash that already has a high critical hit chance, and things can end badly. So how did I win this battle? Well, against Mienshao, I've already explained that burning it with Will-O-Wisp is key, and getting that extra HP recovery with leftovers is also key. Against Pyroar, Super Luck is on my side, as I get a Fire Blast miss and Return is able to 2-hit it. Against Honchkrow, I'm just going to go straight offense. Return nearly one-shots it, as Night Slash does half my HP. I can knock it out the next turn, and all that's left is Gyarados, who's going to Mega Evolve. And with its Mega Evolution, it sheds the Flying typing and gains the Dark type. This also means that Seed Bomb won't be neutrally effective, it'll be super effective. And two of them are enough to finish off Lysandre for good. Now we can continue the playthrough and head to Route 18 and head towards Koraway Town. I'm not going to train with Gourgeist here like I had to with Trevenant, only picking up one optional battle against this hiker. I take on the Professor right away once I arrive, and although Charizard gave Gourgeist some difficulty, his team overall did not. Although I did lose to Tierno while battling him on the bridge, his Talonflame's Flame Body burned me. As a result, my attack stat is cut and I can't deal enough damage to Roserade. I actually survived with 1 HP remaining after burn and leftovers. Return misses the range of knocking it out and it finishes me the next turn. That's a little frustrating. I have better luck in the next battle as I'm able to take care of Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor with ease. We're in the home stretch of this run. Let's go ahead and take on the final gym leader Wolfric. I've added Sunny Day and Flame Charge to my moveset for this battle, but there's another TM that I picked up that could come in handy. I start by setting up the Sun to get rid of Abomasnow's Hail as Ice Beam does well over half. The 4-time super effective Flame Charge boosted by the Sun one-shots it. Next is Cryogonal, who I'll also outspeed and one-shot with Flame Charge. Last is Avalugg. This thing is a defensive tank. Flame Charge looks like it's maybe a 5 to 6 hit KO as it's setting up Curse, and as its defenses rise, my damage output gets lowered. Eventually, it goes for Avalanche, knocking me out. So remember when I picked up the Flamethrower TM and said that it would get some use? Yeah, this is the battle where it sees that use. I set up Sunny Day on the Abomasnow, and then Flamethrower is able to sweep through his entire team, with the exception of Cryogonal. I knew it would come in handy this battle just because of Avalug's trash special defense. In Victory Road, I don't go as hard with the training as I did with Trevenant, only taking on 11 battles, including the mandatory ones. And I wish I had more to say about this final rival battle with Callum, but really only his Absol gives me problems, doing over half of my HP with Night Slash. After I defeat him, there's one more mandatory trainer and the Victory Road Gauntlet, and now I'm ready to take on the League. Up first is going to be our easiest matchup in Seabold, and I've got Will-O-Wisp, Seed Bomb, Phantom Force, and Rock Slide on my moveset. Seed Bomb will easily one-shot Clawitzer, and now it's on to Gyarados. I have Will-O-Wisp just to weaken its attack, and Rock Slide to deal super effective damage. It likes to set up Dragon Dance until it outspeeds you, and once it does, it starts going for Ice Fang. Rock Slide thankfully is a 2-hit thanks to the chip damage from Will-O-Wisp. Barbaracle is next, and it's 4 times weak to Seed Bomb, and it one-shots it easily. Last is Starmie. I have my choice between Seed Bomb and Phantom Force. I go for Seed Bomb, which is a 2-hit, well really a 3-hit because he uses a full restore, and with that, our first Elite Four battle is done. I actually took on Drasna next, but my footage for that is corrupted. Just know that Rock Slide took care of Altaria and Noivern, and Phantom Force took care of Dragalge and Druddigan. So because of that, we're going to be jumping straight into the battle with Wickstrom. This battle will feature the return of Sunny Day and Flamethrower. I'm able to set up the sun and get a Flamethrower off without Klefki setting up Torment, and this will almost guarantee me the battle. Scizor is next, and Flamethrower will one-shot it since it's 4 times weak. He sends out Aegislash next, and I go for Flamethrower predicting King Shield, which I do get. I decide to go for Phantom Force next, hoping he'll attack, which he does, and he doesn't use King Shield to block Phantom Force. His final Pokemon is Probopass, which is also his most defensive. I set up the sun against it as it's just chipping away at me with Power Gem. I don't know why it selected this move when it could use Flash Cannon. At least with Flash Cannon, there's the 10% chance of lowering my special defense, which would cause its attacks to do more damage, and considering this thing only has special moves, I don't know why it wouldn't choose that. This battle does drag on for some time thanks to Wickstrom using full restores, but we're able to make it by his giant nose and take on Malva. And one quick correction, I believe I took on Drasna after Malva, because I can definitely tell that I used rare candies after this battle. Before the battle against Malva though, I did change up my moveset, deleting Flamethrower and Sunny Day in favor of Protect and Rock Slide. I'm not sure what Pyroar is going to go for, but I go for Protect as I get Noble Roar. I then go for Rock Slide, which flinches Pyroar. Because it doesn't get the one-shot, Malva gets caught in a healing loop, and I'm able to burn through all of her full restores. Unfortunately, once this happens, my next Rock Slide misses. It retaliates with Flamethrower doing nearly half my HP. I get a little nervous and go for Protect, but I have to be aggressive. I go for Rock Slide and it hits, knocking it out. Her next Pokemon is Talonflame, which outspeeds Gourgeist. I go for Protect as it blocks Brave Bird, and on the next turn it hits me with Flare Blitz. This brings me to about a quarter of my HP. It's 4 times weak to Rock Slide, which one-shots it, but now I still have to deal with Torkoal and Chandelure, the second of which comes out next. I go for Protect turn 1 just to get some extra leftovers recovery, and my next Rock Slide gets a critical hit one-shotting it. I don't know if I could have one-shot it, but I'm not going to complain. I'll take the lucky crit, and last is Torkoal. This thing loves to set up Curse, which it does the first turn. However, my second Rock Slide gets a lucky crit, and if it weren't for that, I think this thing would have finished me. But now it's time to take on the champion Diantha. And my final moveset is Will-O-Wisp, Phantom Force, Seed Bomb, and Rock Slide. She leads with Hawlucha. I decide to go for Will-O-Wisp as it sets up Swords Dance. I wish I had some better attacking options for this thing, but Phantom Force is my best bet, which does knock it out. Next up is the Screen Setter Aurorus. I go for Seed Bomb, getting a critical hit one-shotting it. Third is Goodra, which can hit decently hard with Fire Blast. I go for Rock Slide, and I get a lucky flinch. That didn't do too much damage, so I'm going to go for the stab option in Phantom Force, which does finish it. It's Gourgeist vs Gourgeist. I decide to burn hers with Will-O-Wisp as it goes for Phantom Force. Since I'm faster, I can go for Phantom Force myself, and since hers will miss, mine will hit and finish it. Up next is Tyrantrum, and I don't really have any good options against it. Seed Bomb looks like it's doing maybe a third, as Crunch does about the same to me. I go for Will-O-Wisp just to weaken its damage, and Crunch is severely weakened now. I go for Phantom Force, but I need to keep my last one for Mega Gardevoir. Tyrantrum goes down, and Diantha is down to her final Pokemon. I go for my last use of Phantom Force as it misses Shadow Ball. Phantom Force hits, and one-shots it. And for all you Gourgeist fans out there, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I was really pulling for this thing to be better than Trevenant, but with a final in-game time of 7 hours and 26 minutes, Gourgeist is going to find itself at the bottom of the tier list, joining Talonflame in the F tier. And if you're curious about this tier list rebalancing, check out my Trevenant video. I explain at the end of that video. I know when I eventually redo both of these Pokemon, I'll be able to post much better times, but that probably won't be for at least a year. I'd like to redo some of my older runs where I posted some pretty horrendous times. Anyways, thank you for the continued support on the channel. I'm starting to stream more, and I'm working on some Generation 1 backports. I won't give away what's coming, but if you're a channel member, you've seen a post about it. I'm getting close to 2,000 subscribers, and it would be nice to hit it before the new year, so if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Anyways, I need to get to work on the next video. Happy Halloween, everybody, and I'll see you for the next video in November. Take care.